Okay, let's look at the grammar and vocabulary in another newspaper article. We will make some corrections and we will see just how low some people will go. And of course, we do this by looking at how we treat the most vulnerable people in society. And that's what we're going to look at today, how we are treating the most vulnerable people. Mother of Down syndrome man in legal war to stop the National Health Service from spiking her son's orange juice with drugs to sedate him so that he can get a COVID vaccine jab. Okay, and if you spike somebody's drink, that means you put poison in their drink, or maybe a pharmaceutical, or maybe a drug. And that's what the mother is claiming that the National Health Service have been doing. They have done this on many occasions, in fact. And she says that that is violating his human rights. So let's read a little bit further. So remember, to spike someone's drink is what people do in nightclubs sometimes to girls, very often if they want to make that girl fall unconscious and then rape her, something like that. It's a terrible thing to do to somebody. A mother is locked in a legal war with the NHS to stop them from sedating her Down syndrome son. Why? So that he can get a COVID vaccine. Adam, whose name has been changed to protect his identity. Notice the non-defining relative clause in commas. You can spot these because they start with who, whose, and which if they're non-defining, and if they're defining, they start with a that. Has been drinking cups of tea or orange juice secretly laced with drugs. This is an interesting expression. Yeah, his orange juice has been secretly laced with drugs. That means that in secret somebody put a drug into his orange juice, probably to make him fall asleep, or maybe to make him drowsy so that he wouldn't fight back when they gave him something which he didn't want. Since 2021 they've been doing this. Since 2021 he has been drinking cups of tea and orange juice secretly laced with drugs to enable doctors to administer the AstraZeneca vaccine and boosters. We've seen some of the side effects and adverse reactions of this wonderful medicine only recently on this channel. We saw what happened to several young people who took the medicine, this medicine, for the benefit of other people, not for their own benefit, but for your benefit, yeah, not for their own benefit, but for other people's benefit. The man, who is in his 30s, that's another non-defining relative clause, is the subject of a series of Court of Protection orders because he lacks capacity in speech marks, I'm not sure why, he lacks capacity to make decisions for himself. However, his mother is now taking legal action against the local integrated care board in charge of her son's sedation, as she claims it is forced vaccination, tantamount to assault. Yeah, and so tantamount means virtually the same as assault. It either means almost the same as assault, or it having the same effect as assault, so the same result as assault. Yeah, I believe that putting an object in another person's body, like what you can see on this picture, I believe that putting another object into another person's body without their consent is tantamount to rape. But that's my opinion. I'm not sure if everybody shares that opinion. The methods of vaccinating Adam were approved by a court in 2021 as being in his best interest due to his learning disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, and obesity. Although his mother tried to fight the ruling, the judge decided she was in no position to rule on the efficacy of the vaccine, which were based, I assume they meant to write vaccines, which were based. I'm not sure what that. Try reading this sentence, and what you'll see is that that were based doesn't have a subject, because there are no plural nouns that would be subject of were based in that first subordinate clause or in the main clause. And so this is a very poorly written sentence. It's a really good example of a very poorly written sentence, and you can find lots of them when you read the newspaper. But I'm not sure who the she is. Is the she the judge or the mother? The judge decided she herself, the judge or the mother, was in no position to rule on the efficacy of the vaccine. Well, judges usually rule, and so I suppose the judge decided that she herself was in no position to rule on the efficacy of the vaccine, which were based on extraordinary and dangerous misinformation. So is that the vaccines based on extraordinary and dangerous misinformation, or is it the efficacy of the vaccine? I think that that is the worst sentence I have read in a long time, and I have absolutely no idea what the journalist wanted to say. Let's carry on. The Court of Protection orders approved the use of one of three possible sedatives: 30 milligrams of temazepam, 4 milligrams of lorazepam, and 10 milligrams of diazepam. And as Adam has a phobia of needles, this would prevent restraining him. In attempts before the court order to ask Adam if he wanted the vaccine, he repeatedly said no. Now, I think we need a full stop here, or a semicolon, and then we can say, however, comma, because that's two sentences. That's the first sentence, and this is the second sentence. So they're running two sentences together without any punctuation in between them, and that is not allowed in English, I'm afraid. And so this is another mistake. As you can see, newspapers are becoming harder to read, and so I think we'll make this the last paragraph. But you need a semicolon here and a comma here, or maybe a full stop here and a comma here would be nice. However, the care facility claimed he had limiting understanding. Well, that's clearly a mistake as well. It should say limited understanding, an understanding which was limited. He had limited understanding of the situation. Sounds to me like he has an excellent understanding of the situation, because he has made the same decision that I made when I repeatedly said no. So I actually think that Adam has excellent understanding of the situation, but that's my opinion. Okay, last one. On all occasions, when a picture showing a vaccine being administered was used, Adam shook his head and said no.